What's up? What's going on, guys? Welcome on in to today's stream. It is Monday. It's actually just before Power Hour, but I'm committed to running it up for the last hour and 17 minutes of today's trading day. We are back in the saddle. It's Monday, and I hope everyone is doing well. Everything on my end looks good here. It's just making sure connections and volume and stuff. I had some pineapple, so there is some pineapple in my teeth. But other than that, we're feeling good, looking good, doing good. And it is warm where I'm at. So the first, I think, consistent 80s of the year. And so the beater is out, and it is time to let it rip. I've also been getting some decent sun, which little by little, no burns, just little by little. And we're not crisping up, we're turning a little gold, which I like. Speaking of gold, little golden brown. Gold's actually looking pretty good. Gold last week did not look great based off of the close that we had on Friday, because we had this massive upper wick, and I was like, whoa, that does not look good. But the thing is, it just came right back. So it's kind of relentless to the upside. It's strong. I wouldn't short it. I don't have a setup to long it, but I wouldn't short it. Silver up 3% today. Same thing. Massive upper wick on Friday. As if it didn't even happen. Fear is back. So if I pull up Fear and Greed, yes, I was just looking up sourdough pancake recipes, and I made that recently, and it was incredible. I would definitely recommend doing that again, or I will recommend myself to do that again. But when I go to Google and you see like whatever my like history was, like the recent history, it's always a risk. Although I'm pretty clean. Fear and Greed 42. This is back into Fear for the first time in a while. We haven't been this low, okay, since November when we were pushing up off of the lows, and we've kind of like we sat up here for so long, and now we're rolling over. So it's clearly rolling over. And, that's a good thing, right? If you are looking to buy at some point, or dollar, it's not it just is, it's a thing, right? We go through these cycles, and we were up here in Greed and Extreme for a long ass time. Now we're back into Fear. We were in neutral, and now we're back to Fear. The VIX is also spiking up, so that's part of the game too. Overseas war tensions, all that stuff is legitimate. Not gonna lie, I don't follow that extremely closely. Privileged to be able to say that yes, we cannot like here in the US, we don't necessarily have to worry about some things. I agree, I understand that, but when it comes to news, the way that I view news nowadays is very different from what I think general society, how they view news, and how I used to view news. News is mostly, and when I say mostly, it's like 60, 70, 80% trying to evoke fear, emotions, scarcity, trying to get you to be scared for, and those are all things that I don't see any value in getting me to where I want to be, and just in general, or to making me any happier. You know what I mean? Like, this has nothing. So it's a selfish thing to a degree, but it legitimately, it is so hard to kind of like split apart like the good and the bad and just pay attention. You can't, because it's mostly all bad. And so is that how the world is? Yeah, there's reality to that, but at the same time, I don't pay attention to a lot of it. To me, I say to myself sometimes, I'm like, dude, if there was some massive, tsunami coming, and I didn't watch the news, but we were going to die anyway, and it hit, and I didn't know it was going to hit, I'd honestly would rather that than live my last hours, or minutes or whatever, days, scared. You know what I mean? So like, it's kind of, that's deep, but I don't like it. I just don't, it has nothing, there's no benefit that I get from it anymore. So I try to cut that out. So that said, I like to look at charts. And obviously, we'll look at the economic calendar and see like what's coming up, like what catalyst could spark, movement in the markets outside of things happening that are completely out of our control, completely out of the market's control. Overseas wars, like you can't control that stuff. There's no way to know when someone's going to do something good, bad. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's all relative to whoever's the situation, however the viewpoint you're looking at it. But either way, this week, decent stuff going on. I mean, it sounds like a lot of stuff. Tomorrow, Powell's speaking, so I don't really love the looks of that. Doesn't sound great. Powell speaking at 1:15 p.m. Eastern time. So I don't know how the market's going to react early, but if Powell's speaking, we may not get a lot of action until he speaks, or at a minimum, more volatility when Powell speaks. So that's the deal. Other than that, it's not a massive news week. There's a lot of little things, but not a lot of big things. Going into next week, you have PCE on Friday. So next week, there's some stuff. You have GDP for Q1, which I believe, right? That's the first reading. Yes, that's a big one on Thursday. So next week, there's some better stuff. And then not to mention next week, I think you've got Tesla earnings on Tuesday. You start to kind of get into earnings season. So you're getting to that point now. Now, is this maybe a sell-off prior to that? A little concern. People are like, oh, I don't want to deal with that stuff. Maybe. Who knows? The problem we have with this is that we've seen in the past is that when you have a lot of catalysts lined up and people start getting fearful, it's very easy to say, nope, I'm not holding to these catalysts. I'm out. And then we have big rallies those weeks. Do they have to sustain? No. But the perfect example, which I think I talked about last week, was back in 2022, the largest rally or the largest bear market rally that we saw in that bear market was this right here. And one of the biggest weeks, I believe, was right in here. And that was a massive earnings week at the end of July in 2022. A ton of earnings like Apple, Amazon, all the big names earnings. And we had a massive up week in the markets, despite, we still went to lows. We still went lower in the weeks after, despite the weakness prior to that. So you just got to be careful with like trying to play that game of like, oh, I think we're going to have a weak earnings, so I'm going to go short. Like, no, dude, you can't play. It's not worth playing that game. A lot of stuff gets priced in ahead of time, but also you can't guarantee that's going to be the case anyway, because anything can happen, right? There could be some news, there could be some really nasty reactions, and who the hell knows? So either way, the market's down, the 10 years up. This keeps going up. It's kind of funny. It just so happens that like this has been a nice move to the upside, and I just not luckily, but I was in a TMF position, which was a 3x the TLT, and I'm not opposed to getting back into it, but I have been just kind of trimming and pulling crap out of my portfolio. Plus, it was tax time, so I had a lot of money that I wanted to just say, hey, I'm going to pull out of my portfolio, pay taxes, and be done this year. And so that was essentially last week. So I kind of got lucky on the timing of selling a lot of my positions. This was one of them, but it's just for more of like an investing position. But now I'm looking at it saying, hey, if I got some cash lying around, which I will have some, not a lot, but I have some that I might be looking to potentially throw around maybe in the next couple of days or weeks. This is something that I probably would buy a TLT, but this is an idea. If you have even a few bucks that you want to get a little more leverage instead of playing with more money, like this is maybe something I'd be thinking about, and then just sitting on it for a while, because you're getting to that point of like, okay, now it's, 10 years back up, nearing 5. Now, could it go past? Yeah, it totally could. And the trade there could be terrible, but the longer that this is up and the higher this is, the more that I like the TLT trade. I would say investment. I wouldn't say trade too. I'm not timing it as like, oh, I got a stop loss, I got to take profit. I'd put my money in there and let it sit for a long time. Months plus, like quarters, years, maybe, who knows. So, but that's me and my investment mindset. The other side of that is what's going on, Millen? I mean, SMH look weak. Yeah, they do. We can talk about those here in a second, because one was oil that I was looking at, and I took a small position on this. And I say small position because it definitely does not like truly fit my strategy. You could say we have lower highs, we had a downtrend and a false break of that downtrend, which would then put me in the mindset of, okay, shorts with that risk. I'm really only risking like right up in here on it. And also the prop firm that I use, or like the trade copier that I use, just open beta testing for DX trade, which means like now the copier works again, which is cool. So I wanted to test it out. So I'm risking like $100 across 2 accounts. So it's really a small risk. But so far so good on the trade copier. I'm testing out moving orders, stop losses, take profits and stuff. And so far everything has been matching up. So good sign there. But I technically would be like, if we get back above here, no. But I do like the looks of a potential short on this, and filling in through here. But you have to understand, like, that's on like based off of this move we had. In the grand scheme, you have a very strong move, so that does not support the argument to short it. It does not. It was almost like it's not almost. Either way, you're at the top of the range. Well, you're nearing the top of the range of oil, so it's something. I'm not a massive fan of oil, long or short, really, at this point in time. But it does look like a bull flag. But the thing of the bull flag is that, to me, I saw a failed break. I said this move was a failed break. Now, could be totally wrong. Could go whoop, yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised, especially with the tensions, and stuff going on. And oil's been higher volume as of late, a little bit more volatility. So it's probably best to just leave it alone. But that was the deal. I thought it was valid on a 4-hour time frame, so it's off a 4-hour chart, really. And that's it. But yeah, it's really one of those, like, stop is set. And the other thing about oil, too, is that because it trades pretty much almost 24/7, I don't have to really worry. Stop loss is like my max risk, so I'm not really at risk of, like, if you're holding an option position overnight with, like on oil with potential new, like, that's just, I don't know about that. But here's IWM. Let's take a look at this and then look at SMH next. IWM, the thing about this is that what I see on a let's go to the weekly chart. What I see on the weekly is you're back testing. Like, okay, first off, you had a back test after the rally at the end of the year. Last year, you back tested down to like upper 180s, okay? You're still kind of in that area. Well, you're north of that right now. You've got like a $7 leeway until you get to those lows. You're right on pretty much the prior top of the range. So what I see is if this can hold up, like ideally like 190 plus, so you still got like a $5 leeway roughly. Like all you have is a higher low potentially setting up inside of a, or on top of the prior resistance, really, which I would think is a good look. And I would say that's a good look for a push up towards here eventually. Not right now, but eventually. If that holds. So that's what I would say, if that holds. Now, we know big pressure at the 10-year going up. With the 10-year going up, that has put pressure on these types of stocks. So this is one of the weaker plays today. QQQ is down 1.6. IWM down 1.7, so it's just a little bit weaker here, the Russell. So you have the 10-year going up. This is putting pressure on this. SMH just broke below a pretty nice support. How much do I really care about that? I don't know, because of just the way this thing has been. It's been an absolute beast. But a pullback is certainly, welcomed, I would say, on something that has moved to the degree that SMH has moved. It filled the gap right here. You are now approaching a little bit of a gap in volume on the volume profile. And to be honest, there's a lot of room to the downside if, in terms of some gaps to fill, if we're really talking about it. This one, I guess, kind of filled right there. So, I mean, there's some nice ones, and there's a lot of room. If we really roll over, the problem is I just don't know, like, NVIDIA is just, they're giving me some weird vibes. Like, NVIDIA is not at the lows of the pullback, so it kind of broke the downtrend. Now it's just hanging out above that. AMD is weak, but not really. It was it was weaker, and now let's look at that rally the past like half hour to an hour. Kind of weird, right? So it was weak, but now it's bouncing. You're not getting like the momentum follow through in these guys, which is just showing me, at least to me for now, that you kind of have strength. You have some decent relative strength there. It's not like you're absolutely water falling off. Because if we really were going to go down and be weak, This AMD, I was watching it last week. I kind of tripped myself up on it because I was trying to do too much with it and get fancy. It never provided that really big momentum. It kind of has. Like like, look at the 1 hour chart. Like, yes, after Friday's move down below the level, it has, fell below, didn't break back above it, and now went to a lower low. Yeah, I get it, but it's not as clean of a move momentum wise that I would want to see. Where you had a good one, which was actually on GameStop. So check it out. Now, I don't trade this one really, but I follow it and I had an alert on it. Could have been. Now this had a level right here, and that, talk about a momentum move. Now that's a momentum move. Look at that. Very nice breakdown and good pressure follow through and staying weak, staying out, putting pressure, staying heavy at the lows, not breaking down, bouncing back, breaking down, bouncing back. Like, you're not playing those games. So that is the type of momentum move that I would want to see on like an AMD and stuff. I'm not seeing that. And because I'm not seeing that, it gets me skeptical. And it's like, I don't know, like, there's some strength in here. There's someone you can say is buying this stuff. So, or helping hold it up, but they're not letting this thing waterfall off. So that is, something to think about. But yeah, GameStop, I'm looking at, I had originally many weeks ago, was looking at this like 950 area. And I think this thing could be a $5 stock at some point this year. Just a matter of when, I think, and who knows how long it could take, but it's been pretty good. So that would have been a decent trade had I seen that or been trading that. It would have been a nice one at the 1075 break, because it was a really nice move. Pressure onto the level, putting pressure. Eventually it breaks. Boom, momentum. That's what you want to see. 5% downside move. Boom. Damn, Rivian getting fucked. Jeez, that stock is getting destroyed. That was one that I was also looking at. I was like, yeah, could I, short here? Yeah. It played some games. TradingView giving me playing some games with me. It played some games on the breakdown, so it wasn't super clean for me. However, honestly, what I probably could have done is said, hey, this was a spot that was a good target. Like, this is a good level, support. Yeah, cool. But then it kind of just teased the level for like a couple of days. What a better level would have been if I get rid of this line right here. Watch. When I draw a level at the lows, it would have been infinitely better. So this tells me, and sometimes I've done that where like you have an upper wick or a lower wick or whatever. In this case, a nice push down, then it bounces, and then you get a consolidation and a support develops a little bit higher, a little bit north of that ultimate low. And you'd think, oh, well, if I can get in a little bit early and we get a big breakdown, it goes to new lows, I'm going to be in for a bigger ride, I'm going to make more money, blah, 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 less risk, cool. But the momentum did not come on Rivian until it broke the lows. Once it broke the lows, then we got hammered, and that would have been the really good trade. So on the $10 break, boom, now you're at 838. That's a massive move percentage-wise. In literally 3 days, from 10 to here, is down 16, almost 17, at one point 17%. That is awesome. And if you had traded that, that would have been a high momentum move. So they're out there. It's not like they're not out there. They're out there. You just got to find them. And you got to dig a little bit deeper, and you'll find them. So that's a good one. It's been weak. Sector has not been the strongest. EVs, definitely not the strongest the past couple weeks. So there you go. You got that. Talk about GameStop, Coinbase with Bitcoin getting rocked around. I know a lot of people shit their pants this weekend. I am not involved in that stuff at all because a lot of altcoins got rocked. I have no idea. Like, the reality for me was all I noticed was Bitcoin. So I was like, oh yeah, my Bitcoin's down a little bit, like from where it was, and I have a little bit of ETH, like that's it. So I didn't really feel any of that stuff, but I know a lot of the alt space got rocked, this past weekend, past couple of days, and people are feeling it over there. I used to be that way. The thing that I found for me was when you play the game of, because I did that in small caps, I made a lot of money and then lost a lot of money. When you play that game of, oh, we're in a bull, pretty much buy everything to a degree, right? Because it's the same thing. When small caps were doing so well back in, 2021, early, I guess, and then late 2020, even the whole year of 2020, when they were doing well, it was kind of like buy anything and you're probably good. You can do a little bit of research, a little bit of fundamental analysis. People thought, well, that's how you find the bigger winners. And yeah, sure, cool, I guess. And that's what people do with crypto now. It's like, well, all these alts and smaller caps, find the good projects, lower chance of a rug pull, yada, yada, yada. But they are so fucking volatile when you have these if you are massively exposed to those things, when you get a 5% pull in Bitcoin, those things get rocked 20% like clockwork. I mean, if you can handle that, no problem. But you have to just be able to handle that. I remember that stuff in small caps because there would be some days where it would be like markets down, not even blinking. We're just continuing our trend on some of these things. Runners left and right, this and that. Then there'd be some days markets up and we get crushed, or markets down a little bit and we get crushed, and I would see humongous drops because I was holding a shit ton of small caps. And so you have to it helped in terms of like a mental, the numbers I became a little more numb to the numbers. Did not mean that I had a strat. I had no strategy back then really, other than just buying shit and hoping that it kept going up. And just so happened we were in the middle of a bull, and then eventually the bull ended, and then what happened after that. Just gotta be careful when it comes to that stuff. Yeah, the EVs are getting crushed. They really are. I mean, check out. I was looking at Tesla. Now, I don't think I would trade. This is only I could, but probably a tomorrow thing. On the breakdown under 160.50 and change. The problem is that they have earnings on Tuesday. So if I traded Tesla off this time frame, which is a daily chart, honestly, I like the weekly chart better. I would have to hold this with a stop obviously in place, which could hit anytime. Have to just be until Monday and get the hell out Monday. And even that is like, I don't know, because you're not going to give enough time for this to work. So you're kind of just saying, I would maybe look for a smaller, shorter term setup on like a 5-minute or 1 hour chart and maybe play a shorter term trade versus the daily or the weekly charts. It doesn't look good, but I would never hold a position on Tesla through earnings. Never, in general, any company, but I would never do it on Tesla for sure. What is Polestar's ticker? I guess I can probably look it up. Is that a thing? Is it this one? PSNY. God, it's getting crushed. Jeez. New lows. That chart looks so bad too. Tough to trade that because it's like choppy. It's all over the place. But I mean, kind of a just short every pop is what the trade would have been. But that's also risky. Neo, new lows. PIK. Let's pull up PIK. Yeah, PSNY. There it is. Neo and then PIK. Jeez, Neo too. Like, oh, that was another one. I didn't have an alert on that, on that one, but would have been good if I had a little alert on that. Would be cool. But it had a breakdown underneath on Friday. Broke down this little level right here at 436.35 area, and then boom, big move down for a really nice return. Had you played that short, you're up 12% already. Yeah, honestly, kind of knew that was coming at some point because you look at Neo's charts and you're like, there were some gaps to fill on the daily time frames. I think it's finally filled a lot of them. Yeah, it has. So we were talking about this a while ago, but we were looking back at this chart and I was like, well, there's some glaring gaps. Like here, you have here, and then there's this one here. Officially filled them all. Maybe there's some smaller ones in here, but we've officially filled all the big ones on Neo. So that's kind of crazy, but is it super surprising with how the sector has been? No, not really, I guess. I have heard some positives, though, about, or at least rumors and stuff. I don't know, with the whole Tesla and the Chinese EV companies apparently in better position than Tesla for like a cheaper, more affordable car. I don't know how that stuff is going, but there were some rumblings the past couple weeks, I think. So PIK. Why does PIK sound familiar? PIK. Kid pick. Because it's a small cap. I don't really touch these guys anymore. And when I used to touch these things, it was in periods like this. The problem that I found was that it was very difficult to build out a strategy that was consistent in being able to find during all times of the year, and being able to get in on these things and be able to hold through them dropping 30, 40%, 50%, 60%, for months, and then, they get a big spike, but you're down. The risk reward was tough. I always had a problem with the risk reward on that in like actually building a strategy. The thing with this though is that it is freaking wonky. Had highs of 520, like it's moving $1 plus a day. I don't love what I see right now because it just spiked and it just sold all the way back off. So if I had to guess, this is probably headed down in the near future. But you'd want to see it holding pretty much around the $4 area. It's been a spot that it held up back here for some time. It bounced off that area here, and here we are again. It dipped below it obviously here and then spiked, kind of like your, flush out, hit some stop losses, then send it up. Classic, manipulation kind of game that gets played, whether it's psychology or whether it's actually manipulation. It doesn't really matter. We can't control it, so who cares? But I don't know. This big upper wick is not the nicest of upper wicks to me, so I would be because it sold right back off. That's just like kind of asking for trouble if it starts to break under 4. VW pulled out a Polestar, maybe 2. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. There could be those types of games being played to pick things up as they get cheaper. Ten-year trade, nice. That worked good, dude. I was like kind of skeptical of it from like just. Man, I didn't trade it, but I was kind of skeptical of it early on because these upper wicks were kind of wonky. I was like, I don't know. But sometimes you just let things go, leave it alone, set the stop, put the take profit on, and let it go. And then that worked really nice. IWC shorting. Let's see the IWC chart right now. That's got to be crushing it, right? Because it's down. Yeah, 2.25. So IWM today is down 1.65, and then you got IWC, which is the microcap ETF, down 2.25. IWM is small cap ETF. This is microcaps, which tend to have a little more variability to them than the small caps. And as of late, with a high 10-year, with essentially just money being expensive to borrow, these companies are getting crushed. So, doing their thing. Mara, let's see how that thing looks. 14's coming. It doesn't look good. Yeah. I mean, you zoom out on this thing, I see a spot, this little gap right here, which would be in that, 1375 to 1425 or so area. That's the spot that I would be looking at. Beyond that, you have more downside for sure. The thing with this, a weak market, a strong 10-year yield, and weak or even just consolidating Bitcoin is not a good recipe for Mara. You need something else to happen. So either the 10 years got to come down, we need to see a better risk on sentiment, or the market's got to be going up, 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 or Bitcoin's got to be going up, up, up. If you don't kind of have at least, a couple of those things going for you, this has generally been weak relative. It's struggled. And it goes through those phases. When the market's in risk on mode, this thing can go. Like we could be 15 to 30, like we can go 100% on Mara in like no time, and it's done it before. Like it's made these moves very, very quickly before. Literally in like less than 2 weeks, you went from around the same level we're at right now all the way up to the 30s, to the low 30s. So it can do it. You just need to see a Bitcoin snapback to the upside, which could happen. I don't know, but I see consolidation right now on Bitcoin. Bigger picture, just in consolidation. It doesn't look great because it's kind of like, struggling at these areas up here. Triple top, double top, whatever you want to call it. You call it a 37 top. I don't fucking care. You're just struggling up here. That's what it is. This is a spot that it's come down to and bounced a couple of times. Had a sharp crash or sharp flash crash back in early March. Not a flash crash, but pulled into this level again in late March. And now here we are in mid-April. If you ask me, probably, weak. And I would think that if Bitcoin gets into like this area, maybe it's a better opportunity. Sub 60K. Maybe I'll buy more. I don't know. If I'm really feeling good. I don't know. I haven't really touched my Bitcoin. I have not touched my Bitcoin position in some time. So having is bearish. More of that beat. Yeah. When is that now? Bitcoin miners could dump 5 billion in BTC after halving. Yeah. Between April 19th and 20th is the halving. Interesting. April 20th, I'm seeing. April 20th is the halving. Yeah, but the thing with that too is that when you think about that, a lot of that could get priced in right now. So I wouldn't say that, once we get to that date, it's immediately negative. Like, no, I think that gets priced in ahead of time, I would think. So we'll see, but I would suspect that that's going to be the case. XBI, let's see. XBI. That does not look good either. That's actually breaking down under the levels that we pulled back to in January. So that's notable. Very notable. Let's see. But still, man, that's a spot that I would not be very interested in this as a short. Definitely not, because of it just pulled back from 103 down to 85 in a matter of like 2.5, 3 weeks, or whatever it was. Well, maybe more than that. Month and a half. But this is like a massive volume node, meaning a ton of volumes exchanged here. A lot of transactions going on around this level. Was kind of the higher end of the range prior to this. Now you're above it. Now you're back testing it. Market's weak, yes, and the 10-year's up. So that's not a good thing. But it's pulled back a lot already. So I would leave it alone from like a right now. What do you have to do? Like, is there anything to do right now? I would leave it alone. If anything, could be a dip buyer if you are one to think that the 10-year will come down and blah, blah, blah. Or if you're just playing kind of the opposite of that and you're willing to just dollar cost average into it and let it play out as however long that takes. That would be my approach to it. But PAK cost to borrow over 600%. Yeah. Well, when you have these like super small, low float stocks, that's kind of what happens. Let's see. There's so much. I don't know. Like, so the problem I have with this is that I only shorted a handful of super high priced, hard to borrow stocks in my entire life. I just wasn't on. I don't know how Webull is now, but at the time I was on Webull, and they would run out of shares to short so fast, and so it would be like that's it. You have to like kind of like there's other brokers where you'd have to reserve shares and stuff ahead of time, and then you would, if you wanted to, it would cost you money to reserve shares ahead of time. Then you would have to actually pay the hard to borrow rates if you actually shorted them. It was kind of a whole thing, but there are some higher level brokers out there that were allowing that or that do that. Webull was not a high level one, so they would run out of shares super, super fast. I don't know exactly the whole details on that. I haven't. It's been like 2 years since I ever really was thinking about doing that stuff. But you have a shares float. There's only 375,000 shares from what I'm seeing on TradingView. If I pop it off, it's down the bottom right corner here where it says shares float. 375K. So there are not a lot of shares just simply available to trade in general. So that plays a role when you have these super, super low float stocks like under $1 million and stuff. Then those hard to borrow rates skyrocket. The problem with that is that then it becomes a game of like, well, now does it even make sense? short this thing. And then that's where it's like, yeah, usually it doesn't end up making sense, because now you end up saying, well, I got to pay so much money in hard to borrow rates, and let's say I get squeezed, then I'm getting double like I'm getting railed from both ends. Like literally you're losing money on the hard to borrow rates because you're borrowing shares, and then you're also getting screwed and getting squeezed out and losing on the short. It's like, so you have to factor that in to, and I can't do the math in my head. I have, it's been 2 years since I ever did what that would cost you and stuff, but I'm sure you could figure out like how much that would cost you. What is a 600% hard to borrow rate going to cost you for shorting it for a day or two, or whatever. And then that has to be factored into your stop loss as well. So like you can't maybe risk as much as you were originally thinking you were going to risk, or just resize accordingly. And it doesn't really answer the question, but that's where my head is at on it. SoFi under 7. Rice futures went nuts today. I just finished up my rice yesterday. I made some purple sweet potatoes yesterday. Like I made a big ass vat of it, and they I air fried them, and so they kind of came out like drier than regular sweet potatoes. Like if you put regular orange sweet potatoes in the air fryer, they come out like, you can make them crispy as you want, but you can kind of get them to a point where like they got some moisture to them. The purple ones, I put some oil on them and stuff too, and they still came out like kind of dry. Although, as I had a couple, I'm like, these are actually kind of good. So I don't know. I'm gonna have more tonight because I made a shit ton, and see how it comes out day 2. I'll like reheat them for a second and see. But yeah, that's my carbs of choice right now. Rice was days prior. Now I'm on the purple sweet potatoes and fruits and stuff. And my sourdough bread, dude. I have a new batch that I gotta set up tonight and bake that tomorrow. Can't wait for that. I've been crushing bread as of late, a ridiculous amount. SoFi, okay, this is what I see is big move down off of whatever the news was back in early March. I forget. I don't know what that was. And then now you're in consolidation into that. So you can kind of say that it's almost like a bear flag if you want to, get fancy like that. Sort of. And now you're putting pressure on the lows. It doesn't look good. If that does go, which you're kind of, if you build a trend line from here, you're kind of right at it. You're right at it. So if you are going to have a 3-touch trend line bounce, like this would be the spot. Like it's going to bounce here or no. So hold $7 or no. If it can't hold $7, you might get a decent downside move under 7. And it has like a, let's zoom out here. Volume profile wise, yeah, there's room down to 6. Like this would be the zone, I'd say, to fill through, into here. Little sketch because you have this. The thing that I have with all the shorts that I'm seeing, setups, potential setups, is that they just rub me the wrong way. There's something that's not perfect for most of them. And so you look, okay, this sets up, this checks the box, this checks the box, but there's no volume, but the trend is not super clean, or it's been choppy, or there's upper wicks, lower wicks, and it hasn't been no momentum as of late. It's like you have like almost everything there, and so it's not really, there have been few and far between that I've seen that have been really clean momentum downside moves, and that just, the market doesn't have to move that way. But like SoFi, we still got about 40 minutes, a little bit less. Volume wise, it's not great today, so we'll see how it finishes up, I guess. Watch the volume. It's currently at 25 million on TradingView. Yesterday or Friday traded 36 million. I'd want to see it trade more than 36 million on the with this nice red candle here for me to feel like, okay, there's some pressure, there's maybe some momentum to the downside here, this might break down. But if the volume's not there, then I don't know, man. It just doesn't make me want to touch it. AMD is a good example too. Yeah, it's going to be like probably the similar volume to Friday, which is good. So that's maybe a little more interesting. The one that I was looking at that I think was kind of a miss, I just said, no, I'm not going to bother, because I talked about how like this came down super hard and did not consolidate really at all and just broke the level on, like, technically happened on Thursday, then went for on Friday, was AI. Now, looking back, had we known the market was going to be down the next like 2 days, or whatever. Had we known, would have been good. But from the 23.25 area, this is a nice move. Very nice move. That's like free fall mode right now. So that's good when you see the candles get larger and the volume's kind of picking up and it accelerates to the downside. It's good for momentum. It's a good sign. But to me, it was tough because you had come from 38s, in March and pretty much send it all the way to 23 by so in a month and a half, you get down to here. And then it's like no consolidation at all, no bounce at all, just go right through the level, which could, sometimes it happens that way. But I don't find that to be a higher probability setup for me. So I did not touch that. But it worked on the short side. Looking at DCA and the SoFi 650 to 6. That's a decent area. Is you're looking to retaliate. Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine that that's the thing now. People say there's some stuff circulating around. I saw, you want to buy the war news. Now, is this like, how big is this in terms of that deal? I don't know. Comparing this to other war news stuff, the Russia-Ukraine war news, like this is, I don't know. Is it the same caliber? How much? I suspect this is like on a scale of like let's just say on a scale from, I guess 0 to nukes. The Russia-Ukraine war was more substantial because I feel like there was like that threat, you know what I mean? Like that bigger threat from Putin and stuff. This doesn't seem as substantial. Not that it's not a big deal. This doesn't seem as substantial from like a global perspective. I could be totally wrong. I'm not a, political, I don't even know what you want to call it, geopolitical correspondent for freaking CBS, fucking hell, whatever. But if you go back to the Russia-Ukraine invasion, let's see. When was that? That was in March. Do I want to say? That was in March. Was that here? That was here. That we had already been coming down a little bit on the market prior. Like that was, I want to say that was here. That was this day. It was late February. It was this right here, I think. Because I remember that day. We had gapped down so massive. So the S&P gaps down, meaning like overnight, we opened up so much lower. It was a Wednesday into a Thursday. We opened up. So we closed on Wednesday at 421 or just shy of 422. We opened up at 410 the next day. And it was like, holy shit, we're down massive. And then the S&P rallied back up and closed green at 428 and change the same day. So kind of crazy stuff. But that was kind of like there maybe was some writing on the wall. We had to really move down prior, and then it pushed down a little more than it bounced. Can't really say. You can't really say. But 504.50 on SPY right now. Highs are just shy of 525. Qs looked this morning like, oh, wow, we're looking pretty good. And then just says, nope. Everything's kind of red. The thing with that, like the idea of like buy the war news, I don't know how much that really matters for like crypto or for, whatever you want to follow. Because I guess everything's going to kind of move like together with that. But isn't that a whole thing when you have war, that generally means spend more money and the checkbook can come out, because it would be infinitely better to avoid larger problems from a world war perspective than to have inflation, right? Would rather have inflation than having a world war break out. I don't know, right? So you have like the checkbooks come out and it's like, is that potentially helping drive a 10-year? Maybe. Is also the current state of the inflation of CPIs staying higher than what we want to see. That's part of it, So the economy's doing too good is really what it is, which in turn is not necessarily a bad thing for the market. And I've seen some conflicting things on that, but the market tends to like when the economy is doing well. Doesn't mean that we're going to crash and burn. Doesn't mean that we have to go up every single day. And kind of you're seeing a pullback right now, which is very fair, I think, and much needed. And it's been long overdue. That day I had calls on SPY and loss. No, it's something to keep a close eye on. That's for sure. And oil is a good one to look at when it comes to that, because that is very closely tied to a lot of that stuff. And a lot of the news going on there. So that could be volatile the next couple of days. Oil pennies were doing well. I remember the oil penny days. That was my favorite. Oh yeah, there she is. Oh yeah, no, they're hot. HUSA was one of my like long time favorites. I would buy back when I played small and penny stocks. I mean, and look at this stock back when I was trading it 2020, 2021 with the years. I mean, if you go back to that time frame that I was trading it, look at how many times this thing spiked like 100+%. Oh my gosh, beautiful. Did it so many times. Now, not so much anymore. And then it became a game of like, well, is this the bottom? Nope. Is this the bottom? Nope. Is this the bottom? Nope. Is this? Yep, I guess for now. So that's what that's the biggest problem was. If you didn't get those big spikes, you never were able to get out of the trade, and then you just kind of held it down. And it's like, do you just dollar cost average and hope that the way of like it can be done. Don't get me wrong, but the way of trading those small caps, I just found that the risk rewards were so wonky, and my head could not wrap around that. I just couldn't wrap my head around handling those risk rewards all the time, and so I just stopped doing it because I can handle the momentum trades that I trade now. I can wrap my head around stops, take profit. I know exactly where to put stuff. That invalidation points, take profit points. It's always a work in progress. No one's perfect, but I can at least wrap my head around it, and it makes more sense, and I can keep it consistent, because keeping it consistent is more important to me, so that I can take the data and then adjust from the data that I get. Like, oh, data's telling me that my stops are too tight. Okay, let's adjust. Data's telling me that my take profits are not, large enough. Okay, adjust. Or I got to move my take profits down a little bit because we're getting a good move and then it's failing. Okay, let's adjust. Like, that's easier for me to adjust. Whereas there was too many moving parts, I thought, in these playing the small caps. SPY for swing puts, I would be skeptical of it. Doesn't mean that you're getting downside momentum, don't get me wrong, but this is a decent downside day, kind of like a bearish engulfing almost. What happened last time we got a bearish engulfing? The next day was up. Actually, the next couple days were up. So it's tough to say. This is, though, right where we're at right now, right north of a gap that would be down to about 497.50. So if there is going to be a shorter term pull, that is like where I'd be looking, right in here. The problem with puts, I would argue futures, So this way you can put a stop on it and not have to worry in case we get an overnight gap up, that now you could have stopped out potentially lower than where it would be potentially gap up if we keep playing the same game of down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and then, eventually that now maybe we're going to weaken. I don't know. Even that said, right, look at the 5 minute, we're not really. It's weak. Don't get me wrong. Still got 30 minutes to go. Volume isn't pretty good today on SPY, which is a good thing, I guess, if you're looking for the short side, because volume is already pretty nice. So you're gonna have a high volume day. If it closes, 505-ish or lower, great. Does bode well for probably down towards 497, filling that gap. But I don't know. Not just the way that the market's been. It's been too choppy for me to want to do that, unless I had a setup and I played futures. What's going on, Peter? Peter is in the house, baby. End phase is another one that I was looking at that could be a interesting downside trade, as it's breaking a very nicely held trend line. The problem that I have with it is just the volume. It is not high volume today. It's down nicely, but it is not high volume today at all. ExxonMobil's down. Well, oil's flat. Market's down, so that kind of makes sense. Gold and silver, I've been watching those guys closely. Very closely on gold and silver. Silver's been kind of leading, I'll say leading the way, but it's been more volatile, so it's a little bit stronger. These lower wicks looking pretty juicy right here. It's a good look for bulls, I think. And also too, with this big massive move on Friday, do you think there's a lot from psychology wise, like, do you think there's a lot of people who have their stop losses on a short trade up here? I think so. I would guess there's a lot of shorts that are sitting up here with a stop loss, you know, on a swing trade that's just saying, hey, this is a massive upper wick. That seemed like a pretty big day. That seemed important. Let's take a short trade here. Look for a swing. Look for a decent move down, which wouldn't be that incredible if we just kind of pulled back for a couple of days or weeks. Like, it would be normal. I would think it's not that big of a deal. But now if we test that level, that highs of Friday, then I'd see a lot of people get nervous and potentially squeeze out, I would think. So watch that area, see what happens, is what I would say. Upstart getting crushed. Does this have a nice level? Kind of, not really. That one's funny too. Had a very good rally back in, I guess, around this time last year. Yeah, think about that. Look at that. This went from the early May lows of last year was sub $12, and from that point until August 1st, the thing went to 71. Freaking 500% move. Upstarts are really interesting. I don't even know. I have no idea what they do. Just like that guy back on CNBC back then, who was interviewing Upstart was like somewhere up in here, I remember, and like they were like, so what do they do? What is your bull case? And the guy that they're interviewing was just purely a trader. He should not have been commenting on that stuff, and he could have been honest and said, yeah, I have no idea, or I just trade the stocks momentum. I don't know. But he then was like, no, I can't hear you. Audio cut out, and then like he just pussied out because he didn't want to say, he had no idea. It doesn't matter. He's just a trader, so who cares? But momentum was there. Does not have it now. But either way, the thing is volatile as hell. So even the lows from November of last year to just December, like a month and a half, not even, like literally 150% move. So if you had some balls for that at some point, maybe if you're not worried about Upstart accumulation at some point here, their earnings coming up, so be careful with earnings. But accumulation down here, if we ever see risk on pick up some steam in the next couple of quarters or weeks or months, this is one of those stocks that is going to be massively volatile, so it could do very, very well. No need to trade options, no need to put a timer on it. Just literally, you could trade shares on stuff like that. Same with the firm. This is a lot stronger though. 51s, yeah, it's still down a lot from the highs, but it's a lot stronger as of late. Maybe it's better for that one. Maybe a little bit less reward potential, but a little bit lower risk if you kind of give it the benefit of the doubt of higher lows, So, whereas Upstart a lot weaker on the bigger time frames. 10 out silver skulls worth $60 more. Yeah, I love it. I have I'm pretty sure my bracelet is like pure silver, or it's like mostly silver or something. I have no idea how heavy it is, but I don't think it's worth much. Never that CNBC. No, you know who that guy is? Ah, shit. Let me see if I can remember his name. Oh, I know who it is. Mark Minervini. This guy. He's actually a super successful trader. He's been in the game a very long time. Apparently an estimated net worth of $72 million. And he won the Mark Minervini, let's see, was it US Investing Championships? He won, I believe, the 2021 U.S. Investing Championships. 2023, this guy won. There is a 2020. I forget where he is. Yeah, he won. 2021, I guess they audited his account, whatever. I have no idea what I'm looking at. But I think that's when he won the U.S. Investing Championships. Yeah. If I can find the account. Let's see. Let's see. On this, they're kind of a pain in the ass to find this data. It's like not as easy as you think. I found it like a while back, but either way, he won it one of the years. I think he actually won it a couple of years, so he's good in terms of that. But he trades momentum or whatever. He's not, he's not fucking around with, companies and fundamentals. He's just trading technicals and what he sees momentum wise. He's got a strategy that he trades. That's it. ARK is getting crushed today, down 4+%. Tesla's down a lot. Coinbase is down a lot of that stuff. This is a good one for right now, as in like downside, because crypto getting hit, Tesla getting hit, like you have all the things that ARK is very heavy in, they're all getting hit hard. So yeah, ARK is getting crushed. Lockheed Martin is getting in the news again. Not really. I mean, that does not look good. It tried to break out, but it just like failed. It's like, what is this? That's almost like a failed breakout. That's actually, I could trade that. Technically, it fits the system. It's the inverse of the system. This would be a upside trade, right? Based off of what I see right here, okay? Because you're trending up. You got a support or you got a resistance level that you broke. Yes, but false break. Simple. Can't break out. Failing. You have earnings next week, which is like super sketch. I wouldn't be, got to be out by the end of the week, but that's a false break. So it's a simple trade to me. I would get in here, say for example, stop over those highs, which is like 459 roughly, call it 459. And a 2-to-1 risk reward, just to get a general gist, would be down to 445. I would target 447, just shy of this volume node, which would be a 1.6 to 1 risk reward. Not that crazy. That's a doable trade, to be honest, because you then zoom out and say, well, what have you done for me on the bigger time frames? And actually, we have a downtrend here. Shorter time frames uptrend, but bigger time frames downtrend. So when I see a false breakout on a shorter time frame in the middle of or in the midst of a bigger time frame downtrend, that fits the ability for me to say, okay, well, I will play a inverse. Now, this actually has high volume too, which is really good. So I honestly like that trade, and I think I might even take it. This had, you had a spike. You had some news earlier today. This is the open. The only problem with this is that it's a little spiky. So, you run the risk of news overnight, yes, or spiking up and getting stopped out intraday if there's some news. But because it can't hold up on that, I would not like that long right now, especially because when you start getting these elevated conflicts and stuff, you're almost always too late. You almost always are too late once the news has already broke for a couple of days. You look at it, like the move on LMT was here, right? The move there was mid-March to like early April. Now it's late. Could it go? Yes, obviously. Shit gets hot or whatever. Yeah, but the move is over. You missed the move, in my opinion. So earnings on Tuesday, you have over a week. I think a move down to here is very doable, even like tomorrow for all we know. So that's honestly worth a shot, I think. I wonder if the broker has, my broker allows me to trade. I think they do. Let's see if I can get in. I would play it small because of the overnight risk you have potentially on, because you have decent overnight risk on, news and stuff with what's going on. So let's see if we can play. This would be on a 10K account, so I have to adjust. Yeah, you can trade it. Cool. Yeah, so 459 stop. What was my target was saying? 447. Yeah. Yeah, I like it. On high volume, failed break. 2 days trying to actually try to break it. 2 days you couldn't do it, so I like that a lot actually. Adjust this. It's lined up better. Yeah, there it is. Alrighty. So if I go in here and I just go market, just to make it easier, protection orders, stops. 4, 4, 5, 9, and then 4, 4, 7. Right, was the take profit area. And yeah, that risk reward is not amazing from where we currently stand. Right, was that the right area? 4, 4, 7. Yeah, could say 4, 4. Yeah. That was, wait, where is it? Here it is. So how many lots? This is in like multiples of 100. So if you do 50 shares, it's 260 risk for 335 gain. That's a little high for me, so I'm probably going to go on this account 30, 25 shiggities. Honestly, I'm going to go 446, 445, and then I can go to take profits later on. So we're going to go with that. Yeah, we're going to do that. Oh, rejected. No liquidity at available price. Oh, interesting. We got to go with the limit order because I guess the spreads are too big. It's weird that wouldn't allow a market order. Let's try that. I'm going to try one more time. Let's try one more time. Yeah, that's weird. Not weird, I guess it's just the spreads are too big. So I usually don't really care about my entry point when it comes down to some of these things. Like I usually mark it in. Usually. See if I get filled now. The order is placed. Rejected. What? Why? What am I doing wrong here? Could be the gods tell me that you don't want to do this. Don't do it. Don't do it. Protection orders. Is that because like I'm putting these guys in wrong or some shit? I don't know. Yeah, the momentum strategy on larger time frames, that in my view is the way to go. I couldn't even they didn't even give me enough time to read the order, the editors or whatever. Why is this? Why is this not working? Placed. Okay. I think we're placed. Now, if we get filled, it'll give me a little sound. So cool. See if it fills before the end of the day. Otherwise, but yeah, this is like the trade that I've been seeing the best I haven't been trading it very much, but if I've been observing anything, this is the best setup, is the false breaks. And generally with trending down, I think false breaks to the upside are more interesting to me, which is this is one of them. So I like that idea, and we'll see what happens. Power hour is a week, I agree. It is. Rejected. What did it do? Did I just fuck it up? Dude, come on with this shit. See, here's the thing. When you are... that should have filled, honestly. Or it should... Let's try market order again. Now, watch this not end up panning out. It doesn't. If I can't get in, I can't get in. Yeah, dude. The stop order was rejected, I guess. Oh, maybe I put it in wrong. I might be a dumbass. No, I don't think I am. No, I'm not a dumbass. I was right on how I was putting it in. Sometimes you put your stop into 454 flat. Oh God. Bill me. Let's see if she'll go. If you put your, I'll mess it up and I'll put my stop where the take profit should be, and then it'll say error because you can't have a stop that's on a short that's lower than your take profit. You know what I mean? But maybe it's just not meant to be. If we can't get in, I'll troubleshoot that later on. If I can get in, I'm gonna get in. If I can't, I can't. How's oil looking? Flat, flatter than ever. Well, there's a fight. Had a good rally this afternoon. Then it's like, stopping. It's kind of coming up to the trend line, so we'll see if that ends up panning out as like the same on this area of respect that we had had this trend line prior to this big spike and rejection, and now here we are. Still says the order is working. See if we can get in. I feel like I've almost had a lot of time off from trading because I just don't feel like I've been doing very much the past like month and a half. That's how it feels. I mean, not kind of like the last month I've been watching, but not really a lot of opportunities that I've been seeing. Dude, no way. Something like stop loss rejected and take profit rejected. That's why. Stop and take profit have been rejected. So let me just see if I can go in raw and then add the stop later. Let's try that. No. Oh, because no liquidity at the price. So that's what we have to fucking put a limit order in. Ah, yes, I see. I see. Dude, okay, well, we're not trading this fucking thing. I will not be fucking trying to do that. There's no way. Something does not make any sense. You're telling me you can't fucking fill? Like, what? I wanted to buy, could I get in? But I can't sell. That's like, don't love it. It's the problem when you deal with some of these props, dude. It's a problem when you deal with these guys, because, like, you can't control. You can't control it. And it kind of sucks. Let's try this. Last attempt. Last attempt. If it hits, it ships. And that's it. Yeah, there's probably some massive fucking news coming overnight. They're gonna just explode. That'll be, watch that for tomorrow morning. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't fill. All right, we'll see. And then I hope it goes to like 1 million, because then it's like, okay, then I was right, where the gods told me not to get in. But that's the thing, like, I don't know. I'll hit them up. Yeah, that didn't work. No, it's a working order, I guess. So we're still chilling. I'll hit the support up and be like, yeah, what the fuck is this? Because I don't know. Explain it to me. Like, someone. That's the thing. Like, I just don't understand. Another order of the same group has been rejected. The stop loss and take profit were rejected, essentially. That's what they kept telling me, which doesn't make sense. Why would the stop loss and take profit be rejected? I don't know. Yeah, it's probably not meant to be. Watch it fills and let it last like 2 seconds. And I'm like, oh shit. No, but yeah, I'm curious as to why. Now, we'll watch it tomorrow. I'll see what happens. And if it hits the targets, then, yep, we had a good eye, but it wasn't meant to be. Let me make sure I emailed them. Someone give me an explanation as to why that did not work, why that was getting fucked. Yeah, it probably will. It's gonna either absolutely get destroyed tomorrow and blow out like the low, not the lows, but like get destroyed, and I would have been like, oh man, that would have been great. Or it's gonna go like 475 tomorrow or some shit. In oil stocks. You know, well, it depends, I guess, on which oil stocks you're looking at, right? But I was looking at well, oil's flat-ish today. Check out Exxon, down 0.5%, but really just back testing the all-time high, the prior all-time high levels. So if you're looking for a bounce area, this would be a logical spot for a bounce area. Oil stocks are funny because they kind of play two games, like the oil and the market. Market's up and oil's up. You have a recipe for absolute explosion. Market's up, oil's up, or market's up, oil's down. You know, it could be wishy-washy. Oil's down a lot. Market's up a lot. It could be down a lot. Sometimes it could be flat. You know, you never know. So they kind of play that weird game. Depends upon what's oil stocks you're looking at. I know MRO is one that I looked at a while back. What's Buffett's? I forget what his stock was. Oxy. Yeah. Yeah, that upper wick doesn't look too juicy on that, but that's very similar to what oil's chart. This is trading kind of closer to oil, I would think. Yeah, so she's not going to fill. Interesting. Very interesting. But it's funny. I just got this trade copier set back up, and the platform that I'm using to trade on, I'm likely going to transition to Trade Locker, if anyone is familiar with that. Trade Locker is kind of looks very similar to TradingView, and I would imagine that the functionalities are similar. But the reason why is because the app is simple as that. I'll do all my charting on TradingView. Well, I think that they are like partnered with TradingView. I don't know how it works, but it's like TradingView essentially. The app is really all I really want to do. Is I want it because I want to enter all my positions on my phone. I used to never be like that, but now that's what I like. I like just being able to see it on my computer on TradingView, set my alerts and whatever, and then just pull my phone out and be like, all right, I'm gonna get in, put the order in, and that's it. I can do it here. It's easy sometimes, but then it also have the mobile capabilities of being on the move and be like, hey, I want to get in, and I'm fucking at the gas station, and like I want to get in on Bitcoin because it hit my alert, and I can do that. Whereas right now, the platform that they have can't do that. You have to be on a computer, which, well, I guess you could do it on like a mobile browser, but the functionality sucks. So, all right, let's get rid of this order just to make sure, because I put a GTC. Yo, what the fuck? Okay, now it doesn't make any sense. Now it's not letting me cancel it. Cancel, confirm. There it is, canceled. There it is, gone. Okay, good. It's like, okay, please don't make me forced to keep it open overnight, or keep the order alive until tomorrow, and then how I forget at the open, it fills and some shit. I don't know if it's faster on the phone. I have no idea. But my style now, well, it depends, I guess. If I was day trading something, then I would probably want to be on my computer. If I was swing trading, which is like the majority of my looks now, I don't really care about how accurate or how exact the price fill that I get is. So it's not as big of a deal for me. It's not a deal. Like, obviously, I don't want to get screwed on a fill, yes, but I'm not like that. Or if I was going to play oil, right? If I get filled at 85.54 or 85.57, or if I get filled at 85.60, not a big deal to me. Not a big deal. Day trade wise, maybe it's a bigger deal because maybe that cuts into your risk reward and stuff. But from a swing, probably not going to matter that much. All right. With that said, I am going to wrap this bad boy up. Be back at it tomorrow morning for a stream. If you can make it, if you can, cool. If you can't, no big deal. It'll be up on the channel anyway. I'll leave all the streams are still on the channel. At the open, that's a plan. So Tuesday, Thursday this week at the open, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for Power Hour, and that is it. Decent downside day. The biggest question I have is, do we get follow through, or do we have an update tomorrow? Gap up overnight. Based on how things have been going, would not surprise me for a big gap up or a move back up. Even if we are to trend lower, it's a decent move to the downside. It's fairly oversold from how we've been trading. And a move back to like 510 on SPY before rolling back over wouldn't be that insane. Not trading that way, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't trade like that, but it wouldn't surprise me. And we've been kind of chopping around, so I'm curious how that plays out. We did close very weak at the lows, so that is notable, and we had decent volume, so that is good for bears, you would think. You would think. But thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy your Monday. Peace.